All right. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back to D's Daily DD. Okay, y'all already know. If you're coming back, you'll know the name of the channel. If it's your first time coming by, thanks for checking me out and giving me some time. I know today was a horrible, horrible bloodbath. I know it was a red, and there was some news that came out that had to really had to do with like the world and the China situation. It's the Evergrande situation, and the markets reacted accordingly. Okay, there's not much to say that I can sugarcoat this. It was just red, very red, especially with Lucid. Okay, and I have some information on Lucid as well. Yeah, so just remember that when you're investing in the market, it's always a risk, guys. That's why you have to manage your risk. Today, I ended up kind of playing a more defensive role instead of looking for things to buy. I ended up looking at my risk today. Okay, so I'll go through that and talk about what I did a little bit. And yeah, I want to give you the information that I found today. And it's also another key thing. I know that a lot of people have questions on capital gains, right? So I'm going to start off with some capital gain information. If you want to pay attention, right, you can always pause the screen and look at the websites. I always put the links down in the description if you want to go check out the links on your own time. Okay, so let's get into it, guys. Let me switch this up. Got you right here. Let's go to the website. Yeah, okay. So first off, why did everything pretty much tank, guys? Because of this China situation. So Evergrande did not end up coming up with any money, and they defaulted on its debt, according to this article. A ratings agency declaration confirmed what investors had already suspected. We knew about it. It was in completely new news, but they now must wait on a restructuring plan overseen by the firm of Hand of Beijing. Okay, so they missed the payment officially, guys, and it's nothing small. I mean, for weeks, global markets have been watching the struggles of China. Evergrande, a teetering real estate giant, weighed down by 300 billion or more in obligations, billion with a B, guys, that just barely seemed able to make its required payments to global investors. All right. So from now, it's just who knows what's going to happen here on. As we've heard, this could actually cause the squeeze for AMC and GME because it might, cause margin calls and cause liquidations and things like that. So you guys don't give up on AMC, at least I haven't. And I'm going to talk about also capital gains. So this is why the whole market went down. Again, I'm going to put the link down below. Now it's just kind of saying that it's up to the bondholders. They're going to have to go to court and figure this out and also come up with some form of restructuring proposal. All right, that's all that's going on in this article. Now let's go over capital gains, guys. When it comes to stocks, if you make a profit, it's called and considered a capital gains tax, right? So you have to know this stuff if you're trading and investing. And this is a newer article, right? Came out, it says today. Wow, I don't know what's up with that. Maybe because of all the tax season stuff that's going on, right? I'm telling you, it's the end of the year. People need to figure out what they're going to hold and what they're going to sell, right? So this is going over how to calculate your capital gains. So a short-term capital gains tax is a tax on profits from the sale of an asset held for 1 year or less. Okay, so 365 days or less, you're going to get taxed what's considered short-term capital gains. The short-term capital gains tax rate equals your ordinary income tax rate, your tax bracket. So it's based on also how much money you're making if you have another job, right? They're gonna combine your money, your gains with your income. So it's just gonna be taxed as ordinary income. Now, if you have a long-term capital gains, that means that you held the stock and you made profit, but you held it more than 365 days. Literally from the day that you bought the stock over a year, right? It has to go over that, and you're gonna get taxed less, right, on your tax rate. So long term is tax profits from the sale of an asset held for more than a year. The long-term capital gains tax rate is 0, 15, or 20%, depending on your taxable income and filing status. They're generally lower than short-term capital gains, right? All right, so here's why there's always marriage jokes and whatnot, because if you're married, you're most likely gonna end up paying more, I think. So yeah, it depends if you're married or single, okay? And if you're the head of the household or not. Again, if you need to refer to this, okay, If you need to pause it or come check out the website, this is very helpful. So basically, if you made $0 to $40,000, you're not going to get taxed, right? Capital gains. If you made 40,000 to 445,000, and then you're going to be charged 15%. And if you made 445,000 or more, you're going to be taxed 20%. So it all depends on how much you're making, right? And if it's the timing too, if it's less than a year or more than a year. This is why I keep referring to, we're actually in a better position with AMC, because like me, I got in January and I'm actually barely slightly green right now, right? Because I started buying when this was $4, $5, $8, all right? So my cost isn't that bad. So, and I've raised it. So I'm still kind of slightly, I have two portfolios too. So one is in the green and one is a slightly red right now. And what I did today, guys, with AMC is that, actually, I'll talk about it right now, but when I get into AMC, but let's just finish up this actually capital gains tax. Right, so you have this website. Another way you can do it is that you can go to this calculator, right? There's actually a simple way. So you put in what you initially invested. This is just an example here. I just fill it out real quick. And then you invested 10,000 and you sold it for 60,000, right? And you made that money quick, so you actually held that less than a year. And then your location, right? Your annual income. This is based off your job and your total annual income, based if you have 2-3 jobs, whatever you're making for the year. And then if you're single, right? And then it's going to give you here. So if this was the example, you would have to pay 12,591 in taxes, guys, right? So it can be a lot. You really have to be careful. When you make a lot, you have to pay a lot of capital gains, okay? Unless you're holding this, there is people that hold stocks for 5, 10, 15 years, right? And they, the longer you hold it, basically, the less you're going to be taxed. So I just thought I'd go over that on these red days. I know that it sucks looking at that, you know, your value go down or whatever. But if you don't sell, you don't technically lose. That's what, you know, the general rule is. So I think this will all pass, guys. Just a temporary thing. But I'm talking about more of like into January, February of next year. All right, so that's all I got on the capital gain stuff. But let's go back to AMC. All right. The chart today, not much has changed. If you look at the daily chart, guys, we're still holding above this 2850, which is the last support that we have down here. You know, I saw some YouTubers that were calling the squeeze today and whatnot, and I don't really like to say dates. I just kind of like to see what's going on and then give you my opinion. Now, again, my opinion right now currently is that this thing could squeeze any day now. You know, they've added to their short position. They've borrowed more shares. They still owe more shares, right? There's still synthetics out there, in my opinion. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, but I've been holding. And for me, there's no reason to sell right now, guys. Like AMC, before all this stuff, before the pandemic too, was trading between $25 and $33, right? And so why would this go back down under $25? Even if it's not the squeeze, okay? That's what I try to remind people of, that of course the shorts are trying to bring it down as much as they can because they want to cover at a lower price, right? But this thing's not over, guys. Like nothing really has changed but the price from going from $70 to $30, right? And if you're holding long term, then it doesn't matter because you don't have that money, right? It's just in your portfolio, like moving, going up and down, but it's not in your bank account. You're not in control of it. So unless you sell and whatever, right, you get the money. But I still believe in this thing. I think AMC is in a way better position than they were in January as far as financially. And I still think they have more room to grow, and they're adjusting to the times and whatnot, right? And we're just in this downward pressure. And because I've explained before, they're in a lot of ETFs. So they're going, if those things are going down, it's going to pull the stock with it. Unless the apes just bring a massive amount of buying pressure like we did back in January or June, right? When we had that big run up. But also before I go into the data too, what I did is I haven't touched my shares, guys. Like I'm still holding my shares, and I had 2 call options, right? So one of them I ended up selling today. It was a little bit in the green, the call option. So I took the profits with it because I just don't know what's going to happen right now, right? And I'm just going to leave that so I have some dry powder there. Another position that I had was, you know, Dutch Bros that I had gotten into recently. I don't cover it here because there's not much news that happens with that. But I had made a little bit of profit too, and I ended up cashing it out right now, right? So I'm just waiting because I want to see if I can get in at a better price in Dutch Bros. And so I just wanted to collect the cash and just have it right there. And the same with the call option. But the shares, guys, I don't touch because those are just there for ride or die for me, right? I am a ride or die AMC person because I am in the green and a little bit, and I still believe this thing can get back to the $35 to $50 level, even without the squeeze, guys, right? So that's still profits for me, in my opinion. And this is the cost. So now we can move on to this. This is the positions cost distribution. So as you can tell, I mean, there is a lot of people that are in the red, guys, but they're still holding, right? They haven't sold. This is what this is showing you. These are the amount of people that are holding in this cost, right? And then there's people that are holding in this cost, but they're holding, right? And yeah, the price right now doesn't look good. I mean, what can you do? We can look real quick at the order flow. Big institutions actually jumped in today. They were kind of quiet, but they scooped up shares. 3.25 versus 1.09. The medium, you have 155 versus 163. And retail or small, you have 46 versus 49, right? So you did have people panicking, I can see here, and selling off some shares, right? And yeah, I mean, there's not much we can see here. I mean, it did, of course, it broke this down. I did see another YouTuber, I don't remember his name yesterday, but I watched his video, and he said we could possibly be in like a head and shoulders. I could see that here, right? Here's the shoulder, the head. Now we want to get a bounce here, and we're going to do a shoulder, and then we make our way back up. But because of this bad news that came out today, this downward pressure, you know, we broke this support. Now we're here. Actually, we're under. So now we might come back and test this again, the 28.50. Now, again, we've bounced off that line multiple times. So I would imagine we would just bounce off of it again and try to make our way back up after all of this nonsense passes through and we figure out what's going to happen with that, right? Yeah, so volume was 35.98 million. Yeah, so as you know, we were down 8.93% for the day, okay? That's all I got on the chart, guys. The options, like if I go over this real quick, so we were in this range, we were getting in the money, and then we got knocked down. So now these are out of the money, and there's probably not much of a gamma squeeze potential for this week. We'll see next week, right? So now there's only 8,112 calls in the money that are expiring as of now. We still have tomorrow, right? Who knows what could happen tomorrow? And here's the proof that we got shorted again today. So they were sitting at about 5.6 million shares to borrow. Now there's 4.7 million. So they, you know, on top of the selling that happened today, there was some shorting going on. And I would believe it happened right here at this time frame right here. You see this 1, 2, 3. It's always the same, right? A lot of shorting going on. And the other thing is that this was at 0.5. It went up 0.75. Finally, it changed. It hasn't changed in months, even though they were borrowing shares and all that. Yeah, so 4.7 is the same there. And next week, we are looking at a potential gamma squeeze again if the price runs up to a certain level, right? And if the market makers don't have the shares, they're going to have to start hedging. That's how that works. And yeah, that's all I got on AMC, guys. So let's go ahead and move on to Lucid. So Lucid had a horrible day today, went down -15%. And that was because there was news that came out. They didn't do a dilution, but they issued some new, let's see, let's go to this article and I'll talk about it. They did a convertible note offering, okay? So it was $1.75 billion worth. And they also received the subpoena. So it's not that they're adding shares to the pool. I looked up right now. I'll show you what this means. This convertible bond or senior notes, sorry, convertible senior notes. But in my opinion, what they did, what it looks like is like they took out another line of credit. You know, they needed to raise to get some money right now, some cash, because even though they started releasing the cars, they're barely starting to receive money from that, right? So they're going to start adding that to their revenue, and that's why they just had to take some money out right now. But basically what this is, right, it's right here. A senior convertible note is a debt or security that contains an option making the note convertible into predefined amount of issued shares. So they doesn't say the exact amount of shares, but it's worth the $1.75 billion that they said right there. Both startup companies and established companies may choose to issue senior convertible notes as a means to raise funds from investors, right? So it's a way to raise money. Investors of senior convertible notes benefit from the option to convert their notes into shares of issuing company from a priority for recourse of the issuing company goes bankrupt, right? So they just want to make sure, Lucid wants to make sure they don't go bankrupt, and that's why they did this, in my opinion. And some investors purchase senior convertible notes with the goal of reaping significant profits if the startup has a successful initial public offering or it is acquired by another company, right? Just some notes on that, and then I want to move on down to this. Convertible senior notes take priority over the debt of the company. Let's see. Convertible senior notes take priority over other debt that the company may have issued, as well as over equity holders. This means that if the company fails, the owners of senior convertible notes are more likely to recoup their losses. All right, so that's what's going on with the senior notes. And again, Investopedia, it's a good place to go find information, guys, if you don't know. And yeah, we'll go over this article here just a little bit more. And yeah, the shares went down, not to 40 right now. It's currently at a little bit lower than that, 37.10. So it's kind of recouping a little bit. But to be transparent with you guys, right? So I ended up playing more defense, and I ended up reducing my shares, right? I don't have as many shares as I did when I saw this news come out and everything, and I noticed, and I said, okay, I'm not gonna sell all my shares, but I reduced the amount of shares that I have. I sold some, about 75% of them. That way, if this thing does keep dropping back to the low 30s, guys, that's when I can get back in. Okay, I think in the short term right now, yeah, it's looking, kind of bad, but it's nothing that they can do really. They're just doing what they can do to keep progressing, right? Because there's dampers on the market right now. So the notes due or not due until 2026 are to be sold in a private offering to institutional buyers, institutions, right? Not retail. And Lucid also expects to grant the initial purchases. Lucid also expects to grant the initial purchasers an option to an additional 262.5 million of notes, right? And yeah, that's why this happened. And then they got the subpoena. Lucid shares dropped after the luxury car maker said it received a subpoena from the U.S. SEC linked to a probe into its July merger with Churchill Capital. And yeah, guys, that's basically all I got, guys, on Lucid. And yeah, you could take a look at the order flow distribution here. So 331 versus 301, 304 versus 274. And kind of weird, right? Again, so more inflow than outflow, and the price dropped. But this is a gap down, guys, if you notice this. Eventually, this gap has to be filled. That's just what stocks tend to do. And you can just call this a sale, in my opinion, guys. If you want to pick up some shares, they're on sale. All right, next, guys, we have Bitfarm. Okay, Bitfarm's not looking good right now either. They had a bad day following Bitcoin. Crypto dropped pretty dramatically as well. So right now, Bitfarms is sitting at 585, and it went down 9%. And yeah, there's not much I can show you. Where the last thing is probably going to happen is, since it already broke this support, it's going to come down to this area too. So this is around the $5.29 area. So all I can do here is draw this trend line. Let's get this bounce. See what happens tomorrow and the next few coming days. All right. And they also kind of did something similar to what Lucid did. And I didn't touch anything with this. I still hold everything, the same shares. But they also did what's called, let's find it. Here it is. Self-mining company, as we know, is Bitfarms. And today they appointed, let's see, the chief operating officer of Bitfarms. He basically issued some stock options to the officers, directors, employees, and consultants of the company, right? So they could sell them. I don't know if they did, but they got issued those stock options. It looks like today, right? And that news came out, and I'm sure it added to the downward pressure that we had here. But it also moves with Bitcoin, guys. So that's why, you know, we see this sell-off. And it's been in a downtrend now for a few days, right? And again, this is a gap down, and I would imagine it would be filled. It looks similar to this one, right? Just what's going on with the whole market overall. Volume was 6.46 million. The average is 8. And if we look at the order flow, I'm sure there was a lot of selling. The medium, yeah, more medium and more small selling too. Not a lot of large orders going back and forth. And yeah, that's all I got on Bitfarms, guys. And then I'm gonna touch on Loopring here real quick. Surprisingly, Loopring was holding up today. And yeah, that's because everyone's still expecting this NFT marketplace to come to life, guys. And they said, you know, they were going to announce the whole news, the partnership or whatever with GameStop before the end of December. We'll see if that happens. We can't guarantee it. And the volume's insane, guys. Look at this, 1.3 billion, and it's worth 3.5 billion with 52% buys. And typical, ooh, this is going up. This is good. This means that people are buying and holding now. This used to be as low as like 12 days, 13 days, something like that, right? So I can see what's going on here. I mean, there is a lot of support. If we go to the yearly chart, it's just natural, guys. I mean, this is in a pattern, a similar pattern like AMC was for a while. And now it's bouncing up, and it looks like it wants to break to the upside, right? As we can see here, that's why I drew out this Fibonacci. It's still hanging out where it needs to, guys. I'm not tripping on Loopring or anything, especially with the whole meeting that happened yesterday on Capitol Hill with them trying to ask the correct questions. I feel like the government was asking decent questions to try to get more information on crypto and overall, but they want to release, you know, if you don't know how to buy NFTs, it's pretty difficult, I would say, for a beginner. There's some steps that you have to take, and you can't just go directly buy it somewhere. So if these guys actually bring the marketplace, it'll make it a lot easier to buy and sell NFTs, guys. And that's the true value that I see in them, right? If you don't know that what an NFT is, right now it can be used as a form of art, right? So I see a lot of people buying and selling NFTs that have to do with art. So when you look at this, if you don't know, this website's called Crypto Panic, and it keeps you up to date with a lot of crypto information. And I really go to this one. So OpenSea held 97% NFT marketplace volume in the last quarter, guys. So there is room, right? OpenSea would basically be a competitor to Loopring because they also, you know, deal with the NFTs. And Monkey, Ape, and Gorilla NFTs may just seem like a fun way to pass the time, but the NFT market is far from the joke when the looks past the memes, and when you look past the memes and look into the numbers, right? So there's a lot of money to be made there, as you can see. And yeah, I believe Loopring will bring that over, guys. So nothing to worry about here. It's just, let's make, you know, hope it just gets back up to this area, mounts this level, and then we start to see some movement. It has not broken this master trend line, and it's holding at 257 right now, okay? And yeah, the news didn't come out, like I said, nothing major in the GameStop report, guys. And I believe that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for coming in and checking this out, guys. What I do want to, let me switch this back. All right, yeah, do all that stuff if you want, you know, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate the new subscribers. I notice, you know, whenever I get new ones, because we are growing the family slowly but surely, but we are learning together. And if you know, I know today was a bad day to look at all that stuff. Hopefully we recover tomorrow. Hopefully it was just a temporary thing again, because we've seen a lot of volatility in the market. And so you never know what could happen tomorrow, guys. The market is unpredictable, right? And what's the other thing I wanted to say? Let's see. I think I got it all. Yeah. So yeah, guys, I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video. All right. Have a great night.